it is important to have a voiceover business plan. And you might think, yeah, but voiceovers are all about being creative. It's an artistic pursuit. I don't want to be bothered with all that dreadful, boring, businessy stuff. But actually, as in with show business, the show business, as they say, is not just about the show, it's as much about the business as well. And it's the same with voiceovers too. So it's important to get yourself together a voiceover business plan, and especially if you're looking for funding from various sources. So let's start by looking at places where you might want to find some money to put towards your voiceover business and help you launch your career. First of all, I think you can look at local community banks. So community banks are really good, certainly here in the UK, for lending money at very competitive rates, and they're a good source of cash, of credit for you to actually funnel into your business and help launch it. So you can help pay for your gear and your training and your marketing and so on. Another place would be resettlement programs. Now, if you're in one of the services, so Army, Navy, or the Air Force, whatever, or you're in the police service, you may find if you're about to leave that they have a resettlement program. And that often is a grant that they give to you, so you don't need to pay it back. And they'll allow you to actually access funds again for investing in new pursuits. But you'll need that business plan. And then here in the UK, we've also got organisations like the Prince's Trust, where if you're under a certain age, you can actually access funding again for your business. So the more you try and convince these lenders, if you like, or these givers of money, the more you try and convince them that what you're doing is legitimate, that you can earn money from it, and that you're serious about pursuing it, the more likely you are to get some funding for that. And hopefully it'll be a grant where you don't have to pay it back, or it may be a low interest loan or something like that. But like I say, that first port of call is for you yourself to develop a business plan. The first thing is to describe your business. Now, I know you know what voiceovers are all about and where you might provide a voiceover, but often other people don't, and particularly financial organisations, they may not understand what it is you do. How can you make money using your voice? So describe what you're going to do as a voiceover artist, describe how you might earn the money, and just give them an outline of what voiceovers are all about. Give the history of voiceovers, if you like, and say how they've developed over the years and how you hear them everywhere, on commercials, on hold phone messages, a lot of corporates, a lot of e-learning, audio books, and video games, animation, and so on. So just take them through the genres and explain how you might fit into that. The next thing is to describe your attributes. What makes you qualified to start out in voiceovers? So just tell them about your skills. If you've got a great voice, if people have regarded you as having a lovely sounding voice, if they said, you've got a great voice, you should do voiceovers, put it down. It shows potential, doesn't it? And the fact that you've got a potential audience out there and that people like your voice. Also, if you are a singer or in a related profession, maybe you've done some acting, maybe some am-dram, maybe you've done some local radio, some community radio or hospital radio, student radio, something like that. Anything really where you've used your voice and you've had some good comments about it. And explain how you're going to learn as well. You don't say I can do everything because I'm starting from scratch and I know how to do it. Obviously you don't. And a lending organisation or a funding organisation are going to say, well, how do you know that you're able to make money from this? And you'll have to say to them, well, I'm willing to learn as well. I'm going to take courses, I'm going to go to a workshop or just learn how to become a better voice actor. But it's all about your skills at this point and explaining to the organisation who are going to feed you this money, explain to them what your potential is and why your voice and your performance and your reading skill and so on are so important. Next, you want to explain what you will get out of pursuing a voiceover career. Things like financial independence, that's what you're looking for. You love facing a new challenge. You want to launch a business. You want to provide solutions to people's problems using your voice. So do it from a personal perspective, because you're in it for you at the end of the day. That doesn't make you selfish or anything like that. But again, potential lenders and funders want to hear what you will get out of it. What's your motivation? Why are you doing it in the first place? So just jot down a few ideas for that sector as well. One of the key things that funders want to hear about is competition. What is your competition? Where is your competition? How competitive is it? So you've got to be honest again and say, well, voiceovers are a competitive marketplace, or several marketplaces, but it is competitive. But I've got a USP, which is my own voice. But I admit, if I'm in my case, British male voice, late middle-aged, I'm competing with other British male voiceovers who are late middle-aged. And that is my essential competition. That's my direct competition. But I'm also facing competition these days from AI, from artificial intelligence and text-to-speech services. So they're becoming more prevalent. However, I can compete with them because I can provide the human touch, the real emotional touch. I understand when I read a script, you can say, well, I know what the script says. AI doesn't. So if the funders say, yeah, but AI is going to take your job, just say, well, it'll take some jobs, but not all of them, certainly not all of them, and probably not most of them, because I know what a script means. I'm a human being, and I can bring emotions and tones and feelings to that job, to those words on the page that AI can't. But be honest, and you've got to really highlight the competition and say how you yourself are going to compete with everyone else. Honesty is a key thing for funders. They want a realistic appraisal of you and your career. One of the things that they like to hear about is the Swot analysis. Now, this is where you identify your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and threats to the business. So SWOT. So really go through each of those. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your opportunities? What can you see in terms of the opportunities for your voice? Have a look around the marketplace and so on. And the threats to the business. Again, you can talk about AI and how that might be an issue. But really go through those with a fine-tooth comb. And don't undersell yourself. On the strengths, make sure that you sell your talents. People want to hear about it. It doesn't mean showing off. It just means you're giving your lender, your funder, confidence that you are confident in what you're doing. It is important to list your assets as well. So if you've got a microphone, then mention that. Your computer, talk about that. Any acoustic foam you've got, or speakers you've got, or headphones, things that you require, essential equipment for your voiceover career. I know it sounds kind of obvious to you, but again, to a potential funder, they don't know perhaps what you need, what equipment you need to actually pursue your voiceover business. So just list it and say what it's worth as well. Your voiceover business plan needs to explain turnover. How much do you expect to get into the business? That's not the profit you're making, but the actual turnover of money coming into the business from selling your voice. Now, that's a really difficult one when you're starting out. How can you possibly do it? But take a look at rates. There are lots of rates online. If you've got a voiceover coach, talk to your coach and say, well, look, how much do you think I'll earn for an audiobook? How much do you think I'll earn for an e-learning? How much will I earn for a commercial? And just give some rough ideas. Doesn't mean you're definitely going to earn that, but a forecast, a turnover forecast, will really help your lender get a better idea of what you're doing and the potentials there. So it is a tough one, and it requires you to do some research, really. But it'll be worth it at the end. The other side of income, turnover coming into your business, the other side, of course, are the expenses. What are you spending, and what are you spending it on, and how much you're going to be spending in trying to get this voiceover career of yours off the ground. So you need to think about, if you haven't already got the assets, if you haven't got a microphone, how much are you going to spend on the mic, on the headphones, acoustic foam, or whatever it is. Course, are you taking some training, some voiceover workshops? Factor those into your expenses. And ongoing expenses will be marketing. So that will be particularly you joining the pay-to-play sites like Voice123, Voices.com, Mandy. All of those cost money. So find out how much they're going to cost, how much you're going to spend. And again, let your funder know in the assets, in the expenses, what you're likely to fork out. Some people make the mistake when they're doing a business plan of just including all the businessy things, but you also need to include personal income and personal outgoings as well. So the lender, the funder, wants to have a good sort of holistic, complete picture of your financial situation. So if you've got a proper job, put that in and say what your earnings, your salary. They want to know other funding sources as well that you may want to dip into, or they can just take that into account or whatever. But they need to know that you've got a cushion of income there as well. So mention your job if you've got one. If you haven't, any assets you've got personally. You don't have to give everything away, but just give them an idea. And you also need to explain what are your personal outgoings as well. So not only the income, but personal outgoings like your mortgage or your rent, and things you buy. You don't need to say, well, every week I go to Sainsbury's or whatever, but just give them a rough idea of your outgoings, your energy bills, and so on. And that will help give the lender, the funder, this all-in-one picture, holistic picture of your financial situation. And that's very important because you're asking for money at the end of the day. So getting yourself a business plan is really important if you're looking for funding. But I would also say, even if you're not looking for funding, if you're saying, look, I'm funding this myself, or friends and family are giving me some money to get this started, or I've got enough money from my redundancy or in the bank anyway, I'm lucky, I've got some savings and I can put it into my voiceover career. Even if you're self-funded, what I would say is it's a fantastic exercise just to write those things down, just to develop a business plan so that you can go and look at it and work through it. And it'll give you a financial structure to work within, a framework to work within. And I think that's really important. And it'll help you develop a more professional attitude to your own voiceover career. So it's not just the creative side. Of course, that's really important, but it's the business side as well. So get that business plan going. All right. Thanks very much for watching today. Look after your voice, and I'll see you next time.